Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Welcome back to another episode. Good morning or good afternoon to all of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory. It's a Conspiracy, But It Ain't No Theory is a non-profit social service agency suicide prevention campaign servicing the needs of families and foster children at risk. Lending my voice to help raise awareness by soft publishing a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair. Lucy's Lair is a graphic novel based on true events following my life as a freelance artist. This program is intended to help encourage, heal, and empower survivors of cancel culture and rape culture, providing free information regarding child abuse, sexual assault, domestic violence, electronic harassment, gang stalking, conspiracy, and true organized crimes against humanity. Your company can help by providing funds in a grant or by donating goods and services as I continue delivering this information to the public and advocating for foster children in need. Thank you in advance for all of your support. On today's episode, I'm going to be discussing gang stalking, hypersimulation theory, psychological operations, plus surviving the New World Disorder per usual, surviving manufactured chaos, surviving manufactured karma, surviving white genocide, and surviving the electronic targeting Holocaust. And when I say white, I just mean anybody who identifies as American. My name is Adrienne Alese. I am the author and creator of a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair Part 1, 2, and now 3. Lucy's Lair is a book trilogy reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture, child sex trafficking, and psychological gas chambers. On this program, I advocate for women's rights, basic human rights, and the rights of those disabled. I also advocate on behalf of the foster children in the CPS systems, orphans, single mothers, foster mothers, and those less fortunate. Targeted individuals or trafficked victims are predominantly women. 65 to 70% of targeted individuals are white American women or those who identify as such. This makes gang stalking an illegal operation or hate crime that is sexually and politically motivated towards American women and their children. This program is a dedication to the targeted individual community. The objective of the opposition or the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO 2.0, is to subvert all of the target's potentiality, to terminate and to punish all supporters and sympathizers, to round down the target's output and audience, to marginalize the target, to eliminate connections and networking ability. All right, so super happy to be back with you all on the program today for today's episode. Super excited. I'm going to be picking up right where I left off, and the last full review that I did, the last full episode that I did, I think it was on August 27th, I was reviewing basically more or less how the hive mind or this occult group think or this woke mob, how they groom men using sex, anchoring for trauma bonds, and then how they also use the relationship as an anchor to manufacture or engineer a faulty mental illness diagnosis to the female trafficked victim or hostage. So this is done facilitating trauma bonds for the purpose of trauma-based mind control. And this enables a cycle of ritual abuse, and this also incites domestic violence. But more importantly, it's really interesting to me how they will synchronize the sex magic rituals with the full moon cycle. And that would be the street theater, the somatic therapy, or the hypnotherapy, the neurolinguistic programming. These are just some of the techniques used by this occult. These are just some dark psychology tricks to manufacture a faulty mental health diagnosis. Chapter 18, Overview of Harassment Methods Used by FBI's COINTELPRO, Operation Gladio, Covert Community Recruits and Stay-Behind Armies, or Instruction Manual for Community Gang Stalkers. General operations in general are of the active surveillance type, which include spying, domestic espionage, domestic servitude, hacking, phishing, data breach, data and metadata theft. Active passive surveillance is watching a target covertly to obtain private information about the target, exploiting the target's vulnerabilities such as whereabouts, etc. Surveillance is the foundation of all psychological operations. Both community-based agent visual surveillance and electronic surveillance are used. Intercepts, intercepting to sabotage the target's reputation, intercepting to sabotage the target's public image, intercepting to systemically segregate the target, intercepting to systemically oppress the target, intercepting to systemically taint the target's image, intercepting to sexually oppress the target, intercepting to systemically deprive the target, intercepting to suppress the target's monetary success, intercepting to systemically sabotage the target, intercepting to systemically disrupt the target's peace, intercepting to systemically distribute denial of service attacks, DDoS. Intercepts are where community-based agents will appear to, quote, just coincidentally cross paths on foot with the target. Once the target has been sensitized to the point of realizing that they are under surveillance and punishment, and the punishment that is being used, this torture method, is sexual exploitation, by the way. Once the target has been sensitized to the point of realizing that they are under surveillance and punishment, they will recognize. They will be forced or coerced to recognize and be made appropriately uncomfortable by the simple act of multiple community-based agents, quote, just happening to cross paths with them. Your local control center will instruct you as to how you will be cued to perform an intercept. Often you will have an on-site supervisor position you and give you hand signals as to when to start your movement to intercept the target. Physical sabotage. Physical sabotage is very important in that it lets the target know that they are totally helpless to stop it and can't even complain about it effectively without appearing mentally ill. Sabotaging the target's reputation. Sabotaging the target's reputation and all that goes with it, such as ability to earn a living, business and personal relationships, is a very special operations category. Suffice it to say that it is possible to apply, quote, incentives which cause even people closest to the target to cooperate. Suffice it to say that it is possible to apply, quote, incentives which coerce even people closest to the target to participate. These incentives are applied by specialists from our organization at higher than the local level. For the community level, community-based agent, the work of sabotaging the reputation of the target takes the form of simply performing intercepts, carrying out instructions from your local control center, on-site supervisor, also known as a quote handler, as to what you say or what you do, to whom, how, and when. Discrediting targets. While the powerful silent support of operations by the justice and psychiatric systems has been sufficient to prevent the target from informing the public, the area of discrediting targets is an ongoing activity. Like sabotaging the target's reputation, discrediting their public statements, discrediting their public image, discrediting their public appearances, discrediting websites, discrediting media appearances, and the like are done under the supervision of psychologists and psychiatrists on at their staff. The idea is to focus the neighbor's attention to the target's behavior, hinting that maybe the target is mentally ill. The idea is to focus the abuser's attention to the target's reaction, staging a psychological collapse. It is a special, quote, honor for community-based agents to be chosen for target discredit action work. Remember that the goal is to have the target aware they are being punished, but not be able to convince anyone else that that is the case. Exploitation of illusory explanations to conceal directed energy crimes. Advanced electronic surveillance along with this manual and field operations people are used. Psychologists are the key to find ways to maximize feelings of stress and hopelessness in the target and degrading the target's health. The control center always has target's position monitored. Community-based agents are given a special cell phone number for reporting target actions and movement to the local control center. Computer programs predict exactly when and where a target will be as they move throughout the community. On-site supervisor has special means of giving and receiving instant silent instructions to and from the control center, such as encrypted inversions, reverse psychology, dark psychology, subliminal text messaging, etc. Intercepts are where community-based agents appear to, quote, just coincidentally cross paths on foot or by vehicle with the target. Sabotage of target's reputation is special operations category done by spreading rumors consisting mainly of lies. The goal is to covertly keep negative information about the target flowing throughout the community via proxies, rumor campaigns, rallies, or gossip columns, etc. So the news is being used covertly to keep this negative information about the target flowing throughout the community, and then the comment sections are used to manufacture schizophrenic hallucinations. The organization has many top psychologists and psychiatrists on permanent staff at headquarters. Their job is to design campaigns to destroy the target's life. Punishing the target at the target's home and in the community is essential for effective Secret Service operations to create a, quote, prison without walls. So how do you create a prison without walls? Possessing somebody with the spirit of fear is one way that I've proven has been done, is being done currently, daily. Psychological operations are carried out 24/7 in shifts. The goal of the new war is the psychological collapse of new enemies or state enemies using a combination of overlapping tactics. Defeating new enemies involves the synchronized use of non-lethal directed energy weapons, isolation, deprivation, and psyops against individuals and groups, most commonly known or referred to as targeted individuals. This new war is fought for political purposes and revolves around the issue of gaining the support and influence of the general population. These weapons can target the brain, causing changes in brain chemistry, which manipulate thoughts and emotions. Particular frequencies and modulations will trigger precise chemical reactions in the brain, which produce specific emotions in the targeted individual, which provoke specific reactions in the targeted individual. For instance, 6.6 pulses a second can induce severe sexual aggression in men. Sexual harassment is the frequency. The U.S. military states that the goal is to overwhelm the target by attacking all 5 senses, plus motor and cognitive functions. Peace operations involve a synergistic coordination of psychological operations, military deception, operations security, effects-based operations, neocortical warfare, political warfare, psychological warfare, also known as command and control warfare. Psychological operations and dark psychology are a major part of the new war and a core part of civilian military operations that is combined with electronic warfare and computer network operations. PSYOP units work with the civilian population as irregular forces to attack targets in the area of operations. PSYOP operators profile targets and devise themes to attack their targets. Ultimate goal of PSYOP is to modify the behavior of the target by destroying their will using a relentless attack consisting of painful triggers. A type of audio-visual product known as PSYACT includes agents of action who carry out plays in the presence of the target. Every single channel of communication the target uses for information is interfered with. PSYACT's psychological actions are audio-visual products consisting of, quote, agents of action who deliver messages to a target. Agents of action follow a set of guidelines while, quote, play acting to deliver the messages. PSYACTs usually utilize multiple people to transmit messages. Trauma themes are presented in a performance similar to a play, live-action role play, theater, or a movie production set. The military sometimes employs people from theater actor guilds and modeling agencies. A sexual predator or human sex trafficker or gang stalker will pose as an actor or an actress under the guise of an innocent bystander to profile and attack targets. to enable a cycle of ritual violence, psyche profiling to attack your mind, to attack your heart, to shatter your confidence, to misguide you, to generate mistrust, to sabotage your reputation, to attack your relationship, to cause you to doubt your reality, to facilitate an electronic holocaust. Psy-acts occur during rallies, rumor campaigns, work, group meetings, lectures, theater, plays, speeches, dances, banquets, fiestas, festivals, religious activities, public appearances, talks with individuals during interviews on talk radio shows, and other social activities wherever the target goes. Messages may be subtly transmitted during these events. Agents of action follow general scripts that can be modified as needed. This type of communication includes, quote, trauma words, trigger phrases, or trigger themes spoken by the actors in the presence of the target. I just wanted to say most of the undercover agents or these actors, most of them don't say anything at all. These honeypots that perform street theater or somatic therapy in yoga pants, and they try to hypnotize they use sex to hypnotize the male partner so they can facilitate domestic violence and a cycle of ritual torture. They don't say anything at all. They're just extras without a script at all. They're just extras in my show, and they don't even have a script at all. So why are you guys calling them actors when they're actually extras? They're not even extras. They're traffickers. U.S. military states that the ultimate goal of planned operations is to modify the behavior of the target by destroying their will to live. This is brought about by continually inflicting pain. This is accomplished by a relentless campaign used to demoralize the victim that will create perpetual feelings of intense fear and hopelessness. The Department of Defense describes this as an attrition-based approach. Attrition is the product or gradual erosion of the will. The victim of this psychological attrition gradually becomes convinced that nothing he or she can do will yield a satisfactory outcome to any given situation. So these targets are victims of ritual torture and ritual sexual exploitation. And so they're actually owed restitution for the psychological attrition. So they're not crazy at all. The victim of this psychological attrition gradually becomes convinced that nothing he or she can do will yield a satisfactory outcome to any given situation. So traffickers are being paid to exploit the victim ritualistically as a means for torture. In PSYOPs, trauma themes, that's the trauma theme. The sexual exploitation is the trauma theme. In PSYOPs, trauma themes are used to transmit painful stimuli, also called triggers, through all his or her channels of communication, which a target has been sensitized to. Trigger and trauma themes are understood at the strategic, operational, and tactical levels of the campaign, and they are passed to various commanders of particular areas of operations if the target moves towards that portion of the battle space. The triggers are part of a behavior modification program called NLP, Neural Linguistic Programming, which uses anchors, trauma, and triggers to promote neurological change and to promote changes in a person's behavior. An anchor is created when an emotional state is linked to something such as an object, a person, sound, smell, place, color, etc. And so it's really important that the trafficked victim stays anchored to the abuser or to the relationship, because the relationship with the mock death ritual serves as an anchor. And it also anchors the victim for ritual torture, which is scapegoating. So this relationship with the mock death ritual serves as an anchor for a trauma bond and trauma-based mind control, as well as ritual sexual exploitation. So they need the relationship to continue so that the torture continues, and so that that is trafficking, so that the victim is a slave, essentially, a sex slave. Once the anchor is established, so most importantly, they have to be able to establish an anchor. For any of this to be even possible, they have to establish several anchors. This is how they're controlling the target. This is how they're controlling the victim. So once the anchor is established, whatever the individual was exposed to during the anchoring process becomes the stimulus trigger that will provoke the emotion, the emotional response, or a physical reaction. So this is easily done amongst men with sex addiction or porn addiction. The anchor then becomes sex, or it would become women in yoga pants flashing their ass. That's the trigger. So whenever he sees that, it's gang time. It's time for him to start abusing me. It triggers him to start being a domestic terrorist. So all of these people that work for the FBI, keeping these women a hostage, and these are trauma bonded or anchored to these men, they're manufacturing all of this. And they're doing it so they can force the victim into oppression, so that they can say whatever they want to say. It's a form of classism as well. So they can say the victim is lying for attention. So they can say the victim is lying for money. So they can say the victim is lying and running a scam for money, when in all actuality, the victim is only doing so poorly because it's owed restitutions for being a victim of ritual exploitation and rape. So basically, PSYOP is simply a series of stimulus response triggering interactions. PSYOPs are a planned process of conveying messages to a target audience to manipulate certain attitudes, emotions, and behavior to influence domestic violence, specifically in this context. These messages are typically conveyed using a line of persuasion known as a theme, exploitation of illusory explanations to conceal directed energy crimes. Chapter 18, Overview of Harassment Methods used by FBI's COINTELPRO, Operation Gladio, Covert, Community Recruits, and Stay Behind Armies, or Instruction Manual for Community Gang Stalkers. Total individual control or total individual remote control technology provided by Omniscience. Organized stalking and electronic harassment. The new high-tech generation of COINTELPRO, Counterintelligence Program 2.0. In a nutshell, government sources are using directed energy weapons, DEWs, and artificial intelligence to terrorize, threaten, intimidate, discredit, silence, torture, and murder dissidents. In addition, security contractors, amongst others, are being hired as military thugs to gang stalk targets. Quote, inflicting as much pain and suffering as possible without leaving any marks. Directed energy weapon programs revolutionized this. Counter-proliferation programs are intended to subvert the potentials of a target while punishing them with psychocytous techniques. The perversions of COINTELPRO are notable. The murderous and sadistic ethos of government counter-proliferation-centered programs are intended to stage a synthetic demonic possession and mimic schizophrenia. The perversions of the counterintelligence program 2.0 are notable. Modern day COINTELPRO objectives. These are counterproliferation centered programs intended to subvert all progress. 2. Discredit the target. To discredit the target. To discredit the target. Number 1. To discredit the target. 2. Character assassinate the target. To character assassinate the target. To slander the target. To taint the target's image. To misrepresent the target. To suppress the target's monetary success. Is that not exploitation in and of itself? All of this is exploitation. To suppress the target's monetary success. How do you go about doing such a thing? How does the government go about suppressing the target's monetary success? To suppress the target's good character qualities or people's awareness of positive aspects of the target. So the people that the target spends time with, they're forced to exclusively notice and only focus or fixate or obsess over the target's flaws. Everywhere they go, they're focusing on whatever flaw the target might have. And nothing else. So that's one of the ways that they're going about doing this. So how, again, I'll ask you this question. How do you go about suppressing a target's good character qualities or people's awareness of positive aspects of the target? How would one even go about doing such a thing? It requires a lot of work. It requires criminality on such a massive scale. They'll start making stuff up. Straight up lying. To arrange a partner for the target. This is also a huge one for me because this is trafficking, this is exploitation. To arrange a partner for the target. To mind control the partner of the target. To mind control the partner of the target. So this is why these targets are always in abusive, toxic relationships and can't get out. This is why. To destroy relationships of the target so they can manufacture a faulty mental health diagnosis, a synthetic mental health diagnosis that was engineered, that was manufactured. To co-opt the target's manifestation, cooperative, which refers to a jointly owned or operated enterprise or organization. So this is just scary because this is like you're owned by the government now. This is... I don't even know what to say. This is so loose. Damn. To turn the target into controlled opposition in terms of beliefs and actions. So they're basically forcing the target to be like a politician with all of this competitive rivalry. To incriminate the target, to round down the target's output and audience, to marginalize the target, to eliminate connections and networking ability, to suppress the target's personality, which is a huge one for me because if you're an artist like I am, you need all the empathy and the character that you can gumption to perform correctly. Adequately, I should say. Sanitization of pleasure, emotions, and individuality. So how do they go about doing that? I mean, I'll ask you again, how is this even possible? To punish the target, to torture the target. So see how these are perfectly synchronized and aligned one after another. So don't take punish or punishment out of context. They actually mean to torture the target. That's what they mean. That's what they are literally saying right here. To punish the target, to torture the target, to destroy the target's life and health and wealth, to stop a target from procreating, ending a target's bloodline. I think it's probably a good idea that I chose to have kids when I did. Otherwise, I may not have had any. So this is a form of eugenics. Ending a target's bloodline. Dirty. Eugenics. That's what they're doing. To suicide the target, to covertly assassinate the target, to cover up the targeting operation. Dirty. So every time you see these yoga pants, just remember they're dirty, dirty, dirty. That's the reason why you're at these funerals crying. To suicide the target, to covertly assassinate the target. Dirty, filthy, grimy. To cover up the targeting operation. Praise the Lord, hallelujah, that I've never, ever, ever participated in any of this sadistic behavior. Let me not get triggered, Lord. If they see too much power and originality, so if they see too much personality, if they see too much character coming out of someone, they either use it and siphon it. So they're energy harvesting and capitalizing off of this target's intellectual property. So they either use it and siphon it, the energy, or they undermine it in order to neutralize it. So everything that I say, they're doing the exact opposite. They're mirroring this in an unhealthy way so they can neutralize what I'm doing. So they can try to neutralize my energy after they've already completely drained me of it and depleted me of it. So it takes an army, quite literally, to run these counterproliferation targeting centered programs. It takes a literal army to control these targets, to suppress them the way that they are currently. COINTELPRO 2.0 methodology, covert remote influencing technology. COINTELPRO 2.0 thought surveillance, neural AI net for psyche profiling. How is this being done? How is this even possible? COINTELPRO 2.0 directed energy weapon mind control network for counter-proliferation targeting programs. AI-based retrocausation. And if you don't know what that is and you try to Google that, good luck. Because this is top secret. AI-based retrocausation. Extensive international neural monitoring programs can calculate a target's potentials before the target is aware of them. Counterproliferation programs are intended to subvert the potentials of a target while punishing them with psychosadist techniques. Mind control of people who provide opportunities for the target. Use of family against the target. Mind control of family. Gang stalking and organized stalking. Trauma-based mind control, no-touch torture. Mind control of people who provide opportunities for the target. Use of family against the target. An example, mind control of family. So that's why they're always having these issues with their family members. Gang stalking and organized stalking. Trauma-based mind control and no-touch torture. It's the same thing. Character assassinations and slander via proxies. Technological illusions, psyops, misdirection, electromagnetic mind control aimed at discrediting the target, mind control of people who provide opportunities for the target, mind control of family, use of family against the target, use of pharmaceutical drugs against a target to orchestrate the detaining of the target in a psych ward. V2K, and in the form of subliminal messages to get a target diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic. Exaggerated, warped, and untrue slander about the target is proliferated. Technology playing devil's advocate via implanted thoughts to get a target in trouble. Technology playing devil's advocate via intrusive thoughts to get a target in trouble. Agenda to incriminate the target. Advice for COINTELPRO targets. Stay lawful. Use of ego against a target. Weaponized mind control against a target. Coercing of a target into appearing overly paranoid. An example, an objective of stalking. Coercing of a target into appearing overly paranoid. An example, an objective of stalking. Coercing of a target into appearing overly paranoid. An example, an objective of gang stalking. Specific technological control of a target's body language or vocal tone. An example, to generate mistrust. Total individual control. Total individual control. Technology is used as a tactic to take away a citizen's rights through faulty mental illness diagnosis. Outlandish Black Project science, technology experiences intended to discredit when spoken, use of electronic control grid, to mind control misfortunes for a target, synthetic social phobias, synthetic social anxiety. An example, public speaker related suppression. Suppression of whatever platform the target is talented in. An example, music production or software design. To dehumanize a target via electromagnetic neuroscience. To alienate a target via electromagnetic neuroscience. To dehumanize a target via electromagnetic neuroscience. Neurological disruptor technology. Dream manipulation technology. Severe targets are sanitized of pleasure, emotions, and personality to stage a synthetic suicide programming. Technology enables serial killers with a taste for revolutionaries and activists. So they're literally feeding these targets to serial killers. So notice what it says. Pay attention to the words that it is choosing to use, because this is also directly connected to this adrenochrome conspiracy theory. Technologically enabling serial killers with a taste for revolutionaries and activists. One more time, I'm going to say it one more time since I know you want to hear me say it again. Technologically enabling serial killers with a taste, with an acquired taste for revolutionaries and activists. That is exactly what I am. Not a serial killer, but a revolutionary and an activist. So, hats off and standing ovation to me for breaking the news on this dream manipulation technology. Technologically enabling serial killers with a taste for revolutionaries and activists. Facilitating an electronic holocaust, an electronic targeting holocaust. While all these traditional tactics have proven fruitful throughout time without waning effectiveness, the agencies involved in extreme cover-ups prefer another tactic that seems to have withstood the test of time. That is labeling someone a paranoid, schizophrenic, or mentally ill. Once that label has been attached to someone, almost all testimony will be disbelieved. The military has employed this tactic since the 60s to get rebellious soldiers and others locked up in mental hospitals. So I was just wondering, all of the gang stalkers that are involved with this, they're all narcissistic, psychosadist maniacs. And they're all traffickers. This is a trafficking ring. But just imagine how much medication or how much drugs that they're probably on. How many antipsychotic medications that they're probably forced on, or that they probably have to take in order to take these secrets to the grave with them. Since weapons testing of neurological disruptor technology has begun on the general population beginning in the early 60s and then stepped up to full throttle in 1976, the scope of what is considered mentally ill had to be reprogrammed into a broader definition for the general population. So this is just a reminder for all the TIs out there like myself. When they're using technology to discredit you and they're trying to say that you're too old to be exploited for a profit, do the research. The research indicates that 65 to 70% of trafficked victims are women. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me on today's program. Thanks so much for your time. I hope you all enjoyed today's episode, and a very special thank you to all of those who are working to end the systemic failure